It was no big deal. Will Johnson locked in. The lockdown corner is now ready to go for training camp. And Johnny, the Arizona Cardinals reported today and kick off the 2025 training camp tomorrow.
We update you with the latest on Trey Hendrickson, who is bolted from Cincinnati. Plus, we say goodbye to the Honey Badger. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. The PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Brack. Damon Dog is back today, baby, as are we. Day one, technically, of Cards Camp kicked off today. We're ready to break it all down en route to a banner week of practices. We will be there. Brack on the scene tomorrow, but he's with us right now. How we living, my guy?
We're living well, right? I mean, the long drawn out, successful, but long drawn out offseason is coming to a close. We're going to see our beloved Redbirds hit the gridiron tomorrow for the first time for the 2025 season and really get this thing going. Gannon, year 3, Ossenfort, year 3, Kyler, year 7. A lot to be determined here. Pivotal season for the Cards, and it really kicks off tomorrow in Glendale. As the boys showed up today for training camp, and no reports coming out. Actually, a positive one. That subject we covered completely yesterday with Will Johnson and his contract situation, and now he's signed the dotted line, and he's an official Cardinal now.
Yeah, it's exciting. Everybody drop a like in the chat. Exciting that Will Johnson's in the fold officially. And again, I some snark on Twitter. People are saying you guys were nervous about it. No, just pointing out he hadn't signed yet.
Yeah,
I thought. Listen, at the time of the show yesterday, there were 3 rookies who hadn't signed. He was the only one that didn't have extenuating circumstances. I'm like,
right.
Oh, what's going on here? Oh, well, Johnny, that's going to get taken care of, and it did. But again, like I wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't talk about it and point that out. And kudos, Monti, Ossenfort, Michael Bidwell got that done, and he's ready to roll. And Bo, you put a link out to his YouTube page. I thought that was interesting. He basically said, I wasn't 100% for OTAs. I'm 100% now.
Right. Said he was operating at 70% and then now feels like he's 100% full go for training camp. Really kind of trying to knock the rust off of a kind of an injury-plagued final collegiate season at Michigan. Dealt with the hamstring issue that kept him from running the 40 at the combine, just kind of hampered him. But now he's full go, and man, like it's 10 minutes. I think Will Johnson, his team, whoever's behind the scenes putting that stuff together, it's great to see kind of taking a hold of his own brand. And those YouTube videos, man, they're fantastic. They gave you the behind the scenes of the draft night, the draft kind of couple days there, and then you've got some insight as far as how he's preparing for the 2025 season. Outside of going to IKEA and trying to figure out some furniture situation, he's in his own he built his own office. He's just watching film of top receivers around the league that he can encounter in 2025, and he's putting in the work. I mean, it's exciting to see. I mean, the kid seems locked in, and if you think like he's going to overlook or discount his slide from the first round to 47th overall, you are mistaken. I mean, this is somebody that's motivated by that every day. Did you see this, Johnny, where he has a picture of himself on draft day where he's not getting selected? He's in his suit, and he's looking like downtrodden as he should have because, 31 other teams passed on him, some of them twice. And he has as a friendly reminder, stark reminder, in his garage. He's got this blown up picture of himself, so he sees it every day before he pulls out to go to practice.
Wouldn't it be great just to be at IKEA and there's Will Johnson? You're eating your Swedish meatballs. You're checking out some discounted furniture.
You're Frug.
Hey, Will, how are you? I got some soft serve. then Will, I love that Will is just in his garage. He's working out. He's on the bike. His dog's just sitting on the driveway. It seems like he's just made himself right at home here in Arizona. And I think, again, a second-round pick, you are the top 1% of your profession, going from the high school, collegiate level, and now like you're a top 50 pick in the draft. But the way he was talked about, I went back and looked at some old mock drafts from the fall of 2024. He was the quintessential number one corner. So much so, he was like in everybody's like top 5 to 7. And it was just a consensus. And then he missed some time last year, and Michigan kind of took a dump as a season. And then guys started sitting out, and so many of those guys became afterthoughts. Kenneth Grant, right? Unless your name was like Mason Graham, the rest of those guys were kind of pushed aside. And it was like one of the most dominant college defenses the year before. And it was still damn good last year. And so to me, this is, again, you have to put an asterisk on this, health permitting. Health permitting, this is going to be the biggest steal for the Arizona Cardinals secondary since coincidentally Tyrann Mathieu. And we're going to talk about that later in the show. But this has that kind of vibe, that kind of feeling. Yeah. When he's sitting in his house and he's watching film of like number one receivers, like clearly there's an expectation. And with all due respect to Max Melton and Garrett Williams, who are high-end corners that were drafted high, that I think are going to be paid eventually, like Garrett Williams has a chance to, or excuse me, Will Johnson has a chance to be top 10 outside corner in the NFL. That's why you drafted him. So again, you're holding on for dear life. We don't want to scroll on Twitter and see that notification of, oh, good hell, he's got a hamstring, he's sitting out of practice, or he's got a swollen knee. Like, I don't want to put that out in the zeitgeist. But if he's playing on Sundays, he is an impact player. We don't have to question anything about his ceiling, his psyche, the fact he's an ultimate gamer. I mean, can we get from now until week 1 in New Orleans? Because sign me up. That's when I want to see Will Johnson.
It is kind of funny to think about. It's like you got the aroma of Swedish meatballs in the air, and you're saying, "Hey, honey, how do you think this frug would look like in our living room?" And then there's, national title winning second-round pick of the Arizona Cardinals, Will Johnson, in there as well, picking out the same very furniture you're going to have. But yeah, I mean, the guy's locked in, and he's got a nose for the football. I mean, he's got an instinct, a football instinct that you can't teach. And yesterday, I think, among many of the show tweets that we put out there, somebody put out, a pre-draft scouting report on Will Johnson saying like he fell off in his most recent collegiate season. It's like, no, he was injured. He was hampered by injury. And also Michigan, after Jim Harbaugh and, the exodus of all that talent, he didn't have as much success as he did. But when he's playing with top-level talent, as he will in the NFL, he's shown that he can be one of the best players on the field. 9 interceptions in his career, 3 of them pick sixes. He only gave up 2 touchdowns his entire collegiate career. 1 in his first game and 1 in that track meet that was the Fiesta Bowl against TCU.
Lockdown Will on Twitter. That's not Will Johnson, but a good account. Posted a screen capture of him watching film. And so he's got game tape for Calvin Ridley, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, Drake London, George Pickens, Jamar Chase, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and more and more and more. Only visible were those roughly 10 names. And again, like that's the expectation. You're playing outside corner. You're going to be on number 1 corners. We need you to get to where we want to be. And it's like we talked about the entirety of the offseason. This rookie class, you just feel so good about it. Not that certainly last year's class, we were singing its praises this time last year. What's Marv look like? Darius looks great, right? Look at the depth that they got on day 2. But this year, it's just so much easier to just say, like, Will, play number 1 corner. Cody Simon, you be, starting off-ball linebacker with Mac Wilson Sr. Walter Nolan, kick-ass take names on third down, rushing the passer. Like Jordan Birch, developmental, edge rusher. It's just everything fits with a bow on it, much easier than last year. It's so much easier to project, in large part because this team is ready to win. Yeah. And this was the finishing touches to that rebuild. Yeah, this class is going to be something else, man.
It really is. I mean, those are ex-receivers. Those are top receivers for the opposition. And the Cardinals, their DB's coach and obviously the defensive minds are making sure that Will Johnson is prepared as anybody to go toe-to-toe with those guys. Like his collegiate film, like it's silly to try to dissect him and say that there are these huge glaring flaws, because there's not. Like, there's no bad tape of Will Johnson. It really just doesn't exist, where he's just getting consistently beat. Like, you can find him for a lot of corners, but so far none for Agent Zero, Sub-Zero, whatever we land on as far as a nickname for Will Johnson.
Yeah. Will Johnson, what are your expectations? Again, drop it in the comments below. I think Bo and I both assume 2 to 4 interceptions this year. I think he has a pick six at some point, or a defensive touchdown. The Cardinals have been allergic to that in recent years. So, yeah, I mean, that is a big deal. Whole rookie class in the fold, ready to begin camp. Speaking of camp, we're going to preview it. Plus, we're going to go around the NFL. What's going on with Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, Honey Badger, and more. It's PHNX Cardinals. Big thanks to everybody joining us today. Big thanks to our friends at Game Time. Game Time right now. Get tickets to the FIFA World Cup. Again, check that out. Of course, you can get more tickets. Sabrina Carpenter not available on Game Time right now, at least for us here in Phoenix. But what are some other Google Dolls? A little bit of Google Dolls action. We talked about them. Of course, Diamondback tickets have never been cheaper. That's a sore subject, although they just swept the St. Louis Cardinals. Chris Stapleton's coming to Desert Diamond Arena in August. That'd be a fantastic concert. We got Mercury tickets. Let me see what else we got here. Well, it doesn't matter. How about Disney on Ice, The Descendants, 9 Inch Nails? And, of course, football season is right around the corner. Anytime I got family coming into town and they're like, where do I get my tickets for Cards games, Sun Devil games? I'm telling them, go to Game Time right now. Download the Game Time app today. Again, we're going to hook you up. PHNX bonus code, PHNX. It's all you got to input it into the app. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. I mean, right now, a lot of those tickets, you're probably going to get a substantial amount off your ticket. Lowest price guaranteed. Again, they do the Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service. I'm going to tell you right now, I had an experience recently with another ticketing app, because what I wanted to grab, unfortunately, was not on Game Time. They flubbed it up. There were service fees. I was never made whole. I'm always made whole by our friends at Game Time. All in pricing, zone deals. I'm just very biased. Like, I want Game Time. We talk about the tombstones. I want Game Time to put the rest of these fraud ticketing apps into the tombstone collectively. So again, download the app, take the guesswork out of buying tickets, create an account, PHNX, $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute ticket, lowest price guaranteed.
If you're messing around as far as your cooling in the summer here in Arizona, you could be having your name on a tombstone. Look, I'm sorry, I don't want to get go too deep into that one, but like APS, the hot summer temperatures, you don't mess around with them. And APS, you're going to see those cooling bills go way up. APS is going to try to keep those down for you, and they're going to do it by hooking you up with a smart thermostat where they can get you one as low as $0. All you got to pay is taxes on it and shipping. That's all. But otherwise, it costs you nothing to get one installed in your home. Free installation. Plus, you can really tap into their cool rewards program. And, the smart thermostat, man, it's something that you're controlling on your phone. So if you're headed home and you're saving some money and you've got it at a certain temperature and you want to cool things down so you can just walk into your house and your living room, your kitchen is ice cold. Perfect. You can do that just through your smartphone. Right now, APS customers may be eligible for those smart thermostats as low as $0 when they enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. If you already have a smart thermostat at home, you can see if you're eligible to enroll in the Cool Rewards anyways. Plus, you got that free install available at marketplace.aps.com. You must be an APS customer, pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for all the information.
Big thanks to everybody watching already. Over 200 people watching live. 13 minutes in. Hell yeah, this is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. And speaking of premier, how about some pickleball this weekend? Bo and I, there's talk of Bo and I teaming up this weekend in Chicken and Pickle. Regardless, we're going to be out there, as should you, hanging out in Glendale. Again, no cards camp that day, so let's have some fun with our friends at Chicken and Pickle. Sign up right now. Come hang out. Let's get some wings. Let's get some nachos. I might bring my son. We're going to be vibing out in Glendale, our home away from home with our friends at Chicken and Pickle. The tournament right now, July 26th, $35 for an individual, $70 for a team. All proceeds go to Big Brother and Big Sister. We want to see you out there in Glendale, Bo.
That's unbelievable. That's given to a great cause. We love our partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Arizona, and all the proceeds, man, none of it lines the pockets of Johnny or myself. It goes to a great cause. So yeah, come out, watch us make fools of ourselves. but we're gonna squash this little rivalry that we've had the last 3 years about pickleball and finally team up? I think it might actually happen.
That's right. Rivalry, yeah, put it to bed. We are going to take on the rest of the PHNX sports cohorts and any and all newcomers. But yeah, in all seriousness, big brother, big sister, great cause. We see your super chats, pump them in. Let's get it going. It's camp week. We are open for business, as are the Arizona Cardinals, Bo. They take the field later this week. Jonathan Gannon meets with the media. What are your expectations for this training camp? There's a lot of fanfare, a lot of buzz around this team. Open practices already set to begin this week. We're going to be out at several of them. I mean, give me your overall vibe with the Arizona Cardinals as opposed to like years prior covering this team.
I think it's going to be a business approach. I think it's going to be as competitive as it's been maybe since the Bruce Arians days. We all knew that the Cliff Kingsbury, even with a decent team sprinkled in there, they didn't have the most competitive or the camp country clubs. That's something, that moniker that they couldn't avoid just because they got in, they did their work, and then they were off to the rest of their day. Where this is going to be competition, I think, from when they wake up in the morning and they make their way from where they're staying to the stadium there in Glendale, throughout practices, throughout studying, because there are jobs on the line, and there's nothing that's really going to be given to these guys, despite what people would perceive their statuses. And Leah Merrill outlined today some of the top 5 storylines going into the training camp for the Arizona Cardinals in today's newsletter. I encourage you to sign up for it. It's a couple of the big camp battles that we've outlined. It's the off-ball linebacker opposite Mac Wilson, Cody Simon, or Akeem Davis-Gaither. It's who's going to be the odd men out in the defensive line room. There's going to be multiple guys, numerous guys that either you've rooted for or have made a name for themselves in this league that are sent packing because it's such a competitive room on the defensive line. And that cornerback room, as we talk about Will Johnson, it's 3 guys vying for 2 starting spots on the outside: Max Melton, Will Johnson, and Starling Thomas. Like, who's going to edge out the competition? And I think, if you take any reps off, it could cost you. And that Gannon and Rollis and Petzing, they're all going to be looking with critical eyes on who's going to be the best 53 that they can get through these couple weeks.
I don't want to fast forward to the next offseason, but you also have to just question, like, is this the last year we see Jonah Williams? Is this the last year we see somebody like Greg Dortch, right? Like, God forbid this is Kyler Murray's last training camp with the Arizona Cardinals. I hope that's not the case, but we know how this league changes. I mean, it feels like the pressure of this season is immense in every facet. Ossenfort and Gannon feel it. The franchise quarterback feels it. Marv has immense amount of pressure on him. And I think that that's going to lead to your point, a very competitive camp. I think that this team fully understands the expectations. We're going to get to this later. Matthew Stafford has a bad back already, and camp hasn't even started. The 49ers roster is in utter shambles, right? So, Seattle gutted their offense. They're starting over with that unit. It's on a silver platter for the Arizona Cardinals. They have the most continuity with their coaching staff, with their quarterback, with their roster. They have clearly upgraded. Can they take the next step? Because if they can't take the next step this year with the current infrastructure, guess what? We're not going to be sitting here in next offseason and talking about, hey, they ran it back on offense, and isn't this great? There will be changes, right? I don't want that. I think they have the goods. I think they have the goods, a floor of like 9 or 10 wins and a ceiling of who knows, right? We haven't seen them play their best football under Jonathan Gannon yet. So I am optimistic that we're going to go into this camp and we're going to see violence, competitiveness. We're going to see players hitting, and we're going to see, in particular, this is the number one thing I want to see: Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. being absolute killers in the passing game. That to me, it's like, if everything else is equal, can I just have that one thing? Because we know that's a direct result into where they want to go as a franchise this year.
No, it's a great point. And, Theo Mackey of AZ Central last year kept kind of targets, receptions, stats for how Kyler Murray kind of spread the ball out around to his playmakers. And I believe it was Michael Wilson who, was running away with it. Michael Wilson was the one that was the most heavily targeted, but that's not how things played out in the regular season. You want to see what going to kind of resemble what they want to do offensively. And I would love to see Marvin Harrison Jr. just be the guy consistently, overwhelmingly throughout camp. And just that rapport remains their number one priority as far as getting this offense to where it wants to go. Like, we looked at the numbers, like the numbers are fine. Like, overall, offensively, statistically, 13th, 12th, just above average, kind of, or above the middle of the pack. But if they get that Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray kind of duo tandem on the right track, I mean, they could very easily be a top 10 offense. And I know this is like hope springs eternal here as players report for camp, but that's the type of talent that those two players possess, and how they could really put the offense on the trajectory that they envisioned when they made the selection of Marvin Harrison Jr. 4th overall, or even Kyler 1st overall back in 2019.
Don't you just feel like that's the way it should be? Is like 1st overall pick, 4th overall pick, you lucked into a Pro Bowl, all-pro tight end. That should be your trio of dominance right there. And then you've got somebody like James Conner, who is unsung, that consistently goes for 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. Like, we can't be sitting here and saying year after year, like, what's not working. It has to add up, Bo, to, I mean, what's the bare minimum for excellence this year for this offense, in your opinion?
I mean, they have to be, I think, a fringe top 10, if not firmly in the top 10 offense. There's just too much talent. Like, because if there is no Marvin jump, then that means there's either the status quo or regression. And we know that the status quo, nobody will accept that. Like, from the players in the locker room to the coaching staff to the fan base, nobody was happy and content with how things went offensively last year. They want to take a step because they know that there's another gear, I think, on that roster as far as just personnel-wise, talent-wise.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. And I also think if Marv doesn't do it, who else is going to do it? Who else? Right. I mean, and that's all due respect to Michael Wilson, who I think should be a consistent 700-800 yard receiver and should get an extension from this team and is everything you want. And he would tell you he's a 1,000-yard receiver. But like, there is so much riding on Marv producing this year. I mean, like, if we're sitting here and it's week 7 and the Cardinals are like a 500 team and the offense is hit or miss and his season is very similar to last season and the passing game looks the same, like, then you start to question everything. And then when that happens and you don't get the benefit of the doubt of the 2025 offseason, where you just like figure it out in the film room, then you start to subtract, right? And here is the hierarchy. I'll just do this on the fly of what would get subtracted first. I would imagine Drew Petzing would be the first to go. That's the easiest. You make a change at coordinator. You take away play calling duties. You make him, co-offensive coordinator with Drew Terrell. And then from there, it would be like, okay, probably Kyler Murray would then be next on the list. And, Marv and Michael, they're not making any money yet. They're draft picks of Ossenfort. That gives them ample amount of time. But, I mean, like, this is year 3 for Drew Petzing. The passing games, each of the first 2 years, have been underwhelming. You cannot be a serious contender for postseason success with an underwhelming passing game. Look at the teams last year. Even the teams that love to run the ball. I mean, the Commanders ran the football successfully last year. The Packers every year run the football well. They ran it well with Josh Jacobs. Jordan Love can rip it downfield. Does he throw some interceptions? Absolutely. Lamar Jackson, one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. I think Cardinal fans, and I saw a comment here that I want to bring up here from Angel, and I think it encapsulates everybody. It's like, I need to see plays downfield. If I see dink and dunk after another, I'll rip my hair out. And I think Angel will get a sense of that early.
Yeah.
Like, Kyler Murray, I believe, was coached to check it down last year.
Yeah.
His first instinct needs to be letting it rip, but be vintage K1 circa 2018 at Oklahoma through 2021. That's what we need.
You absolutely need that. And, you hope that with the addition of a guy like Jacoby Brissett in the quarterback room, that you're not going to see a guy who entered the system as a 5th-round pick and Clayton Tune, who is just the other guy that's throwing passes, and Desmond Ridder remember we were watching Desmond Ridder last year.
Yeah.
At this point, like who really the only ability they have to make completions is kind of shorter passes, intermediate passes. They don't have the ability to kind of rip it downfield. Jacoby Brissett's going to have a familiarity with this offense. I think push Kyler Murray to see the plays downfield earlier and often, because he's just got that 10 years in the league, or entering his 10th year in the league, to where I think he's going to have the ability to do that very least in training camp. It's like, hey, we're trying to get these guys to perform it in practice so they can perform in games. And if we're not doing it here, we're not going to be able to do it on NFL Sundays.
I'm just so over, and I agree with you, I'm just so over completion percentage and QBR, and like we'll cite those during the year. Here are the stats I care about. Big plays, touchdowns, winning, right? Like there are quarterbacks in the NFL that have a worse completion percentage than K1. They have a worse quarterback rating, but their yards per completion is higher. I mean, Kyler Murray's yards per completion in the year where he was cooking in 2021 was almost 8 yards per completion. Last year it was 7, right? You felt that. So to me, it's like, I know it's not an arm strength problem. I mean, we were questioning last year, like, is he healthy? Why won't they let him rip it downfield? And again, philosophy speaking, I'm sure it was keeping him upright in the pocket. The offensive line protected him well, 30 sacks, I think, roughly last year. This year has to be different. You have to give to get a little bit. It's like that age-old saying. It's like you got to spend money to make money, right? That's how I feel about the Cardinal passing game. Mm-hmm. You got to give up a little bit of protection. You got to give up a little bit from a turnover standpoint. Not too much, right? Because I think the continuity that you're looking for, that really he has not had in the deep passing game since Christian Kirk, that has to be on full display. I remember Christian Kirk in 2021, first year covering this team for PHNX Sports, what that looked like at training camp. You could sense like, oh, this is going to be white flipping hot. And it was. You saw it in Tennessee, and then it just exploded. We'll know. I mean, we're sitting here on July 22nd. We'll know in like 2 weeks' time. Does it look different? Does it feel different?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to see just a carbon copy of last season. That would be really, I think, disappointing. It would take a little of the wind out of the sails as far as the momentum that this team is feeling, going from fringe playoff team playing meaningful games in December to key additions in the offseason to you didn't do anything to the offense. This is something you're doubling down on. You're running it back here to where it's good. You need to prove that you can take that next step, and the next step is adding a downfield passing attack to what's already in place. Like we know you can always go back to your old, safety blanket for Drew Petzing. You got the run game. You've got James Conner, got an offensive line that can always get in the run mode and figure it out and establish it, consistently. I know there's sometimes some teams that can take it away, but consistently you've shown over 2 years of offense with Drew Petzing you can do that. But now it's like, okay, when you get to the next level, in order to do so, we got to take ourselves out of the comfort zone, and we got to draw up some plays that scare Drew Petzing a little bit. He's a little shaky putting it into his headset huddle.
Isn't that nuts too? Because like we don't want to bang on him for the explosives comment. We love our guy JG, but Gannon wants to throw the ball deep.
Yeah,
Gannon loves. Remember the play Kyler Murray against Houston when I thought they were going to win that game to Rondell Moore. How fired up Gannon loves the deep shot. Like, come on, make your head coach hat. Let's rip it, baby. We all love Amari DiMercato and what he does for this franchise, but it's like there's like a circle of trust with Drew Petzing. Who's in the circle of trust? It's Tip Ryman, it's Amari DiMercato, right? It's probably another tight end, probably the 6 offensive linemen. That's like the cool club on the sideline with Drew Petzing. And those players are probably in let's get in there. Let's run a draw for 3 plays. Let's do a check down, right? I need Xavier Weaver and Zay Jones and Greg Dortch to say, step aside, friends. We're going 4 wide receiver personnel. We're doing 10 personnel right here. We need some juice. So, that'll hopefully be on full display week 1 against New Orleans. Something that will not be on full display. Honey Badger retirement. We react to it. That and more. Get your super chats in. It's PHNX Cardinals. Honey Badger, one of the greats. Speaking of great, how about a great new flooring via our friends at Empire Today? Why is Empire Today your best bet for a new floor? They live and breathe flooring. They're going to come and help you out every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. Pick the right flooring in the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture, your house. And again, get precise measurements taken, have all your questions answered so there's no surprise. With Empire today, you get clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free home estimate today because things are just better at home. PHNX listeners, you're going to get up to $350 off with the discount promo code PHNX. Yes, heard that right. $350 in a discount with the bonus code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/PHNX for full details, Bo.
Never a good feeling when you look at your bank account and you're like, where the hell did my money go? Or I did this like after college, I would spend money on the weekend and I like would be afraid to look at my bank account.
Oh, are you speaking into my soul right now, Bo?
Yeah. Real quick, one time I went to Panama City, didn't look at my bank account. My parents called me like 3 days in. They're like, you're out of money. Stop it. We've gotten so many overdraft fees. We've put in a little bit of money for you to get through the rest of the week. Stop. I know what that life's like.
Go find some ramen and just chill for a little bit. You're not going to go put us in bankruptcy. Look, Monarch Money, that's where they step in. If you had Monarch Money back then, you probably would have been on the right track. Damon's on the right track now that he's got saved on Monarch Money itself by getting 50% off the first year. It's not just helping you save money and kind of keep tabs on your bank account and see like where you're spending, whether it's, getting food, buying food delivery services or streaming services, whatever it may be. No, it's about building wealth with Monarch Money. They're going to help you. It's like your own personal CFO over at Monarch Money. And right now, just by being a viewer of PHNX Cardinals, you can save 50% off your first year. Just take control with Monarch Money. Go to monarchmoney.com. Use that code PHNX. Get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code PHNX.
Appreciate everybody dropping a like. Again, get us to 500 likes is the goal here on a Football Tuesday. Appreciate everybody watching live. It's been a banner day for NFL news that's very much Cardinal adjacent. We thought homecoming for the Arizona Cardinals with Tyrann Mathieu coming to town as the Cardinals come to town week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. I was looking forward to watching old number 32. No longer. The former third-round pick, collegiate star at LSU, and of course, famous Steve Keim draft pick, hung it up today. Retirement. Just had, I guess, a new baby. So congratulations to he and his wife. And Tyrann Mathieu, where does he rank hierarchy of Cardinal defensive backs and your reaction, Bo, to the retirement?
Oh man, just that complete career, man. Like one of the best comeback stories I think that we've seen of this era of football. But him to be just outright dismissed by Les Miles and LSU back in the days for weed, like he had multiple instances that were reported where he was dealing with some marijuana and he couldn't get on the field with LSU. And he had a big season upcoming in 2012. And, he was kind of an embattled, polarizing draft prospect. And the Arizona Cardinals were the team that was going to take a chance on him. And like, he never let him down. But not only like his tenure here was fantastic, all rookie team. His first start was unbelievable against the Rams. And just really had a great Cardinals career, but then was able to go on and continue that success. Like he spent 5 years in the desert, 7 seasons in the NFL beyond that, won a Super Bowl, was all pro a couple times, was a Pro Bowler, really did everything that I think you want to accomplish as an NFL player. And it's, on the heels of being basically shut down at the collegiate level. It's just a great story. And you saw a guy kind of really mature before your very eyes. And it's unfortunate how things ended here. Obviously, like he refused a pay cut on a deal that Steve Keim, signed him to previous, 2 off seasons before that. And maybe, there's a chance for them to do what they did with Patrick Peterson, but probably more of an outside chance to kind of reconcile. But it's cool to see him accomplish all that he did. And the fact that it started here in the desert is something that Cardinals fans can wear as kind of a badge of honor.
Yeah, my guess is, not to jump around here, I think he probably retires, maybe as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. He won a championship, and then his best season ever. I mean, he was almost Defensive Player of the Year that year for Kansas City. But I would love to see him retire here, and hopefully gives the Cardinals some love because he was beloved. I mean, I remember like outside of Larry Fitzgerald, like 32 was the most prevalent jersey for that period of time. He almost encapsulated the Bruce Arians years. Like that, those two were very synonymous with each other. And that really kicked off the Cardinals rebuild, the restart of relevance for this franchise. They got Bruce Arians and they got Tyrann Mathieu. And with all due respect to Carson Palmer and the other players they brought in, there's just a different energy with him. And again, you knew, like, because of the guidance of Patrick Peterson and the mentorship and giving him the okay. It's why I've always been a P2 fan, even after everything that happened. And I'm so glad that they were able to mend fences, both Cardinal fans and Michael Bidwell, that, like, you don't get Tyrann Mathieu without Patrick Peterson. Steve Keim's not making that pick unless they're like, hey, he's good. He's straightened out his life, and he and his family. I mean, he's just been a model citizen since he's, been drafted out of LSU. So to me, I mean, I think back to the Super Bowl year in 2015, the NFC Championship year of 2015, how dominant he was. I was watching highlights today when they abused Colin Kaepernick, 47-10 at home. Yeah. He had a pick six and just completely clowned Kaepernick. I mean, it's just like that shit. I want those moments again.
Yeah.
It's like, this is your best player. This is one of ours, and we just completely own you. And so you think when he got hurt, that was basically the end of it. Because remember, he got hurt in 2013 too. So I think there was
two ACL tears.
Right. There was a mindset going around the NFL like, hey man, he's just not going to be able to hold up. He's too small.
Yeah.
So like when they released him, I remember thinking like maybe he'll bounce around, and he played his best football arguably after he left. So it is unfortunate. I'm happy for him, happy career. And now, I mean, I listen a little bit to Nick Underhill, who covers the Saints, does a great job saying this is a massive loss. Like, they don't have anybody to replace him. You could pencil him in for 3 to 4 picks. He was their best defensive player, 32-year-old safety. Like, whatever you thought of the Saints coming into today, guess what? They've gotten worse.
They were bad. They were bad before today, and they're going to be really bad after this. And it's great news for the Arizona Cardinals, to open up the year. Great chance to, I think, you pound that, take the Cardinals 5.5-point favorites right now on the road against a really undermanned Saints team. But like, to kind of get back to the earlier talking point about Will Johnson and his slide from first round pick, like Tyrann Mathieu, there was no question about it. He was a first round talent. It was just all the noise that was surrounding him off the field. Could he keep himself clean? I know we were talking about weed. This is like 2013 speak, right. But like, it was big relative to the times and what the rules of the NFL were. It weren't as lax as far as weed goes now, but he was a first round talent. Like, he was very well known about at LSU, and it was a big story that he was dismissed from that team. So the fact that they could get a player of his caliber in the third round, just as Will Johnson, if they get a player of his caliber in the second round, it's almost like having 2 first-round picks. It really is, because in the way that it can expedite or take your draft class to another level, it's unreal. And it's unfortunate. Like, you look at that draft class, it's like Tyrann Mathieu by far was the best player in that class. Jonathan Cooper was a bust. That's 6th or 7th overall. But they had some guys that contributed from that class. Like, they had NFL caliber guys. And Tyrann Mathieu was a superstar. Like, the Honey Badger was electric. Watching him play, it was unfortunate after that second ACL tear, because he was having a Defensive Player of the Year campaign that year before, on a pick, he tore his ACL in week 15.
Walked off the field in Philly.
Walked off the field. Everything was kind of like taken care of for the Cardinals at that point in the season. There wasn't much to play for. The game was in hand against Philly. But like, he signed that deal the following off season, and he wasn't right physically. He still played, like, I think, high percent, maybe every snap the next season, but like, to how the level he played at, it was pedestrian compared to that. And I think the Cardinals thought, like you did, and a lot of people did, like, is he ever going to be back again? And he proved people wrong.
Yeah, really unfortunate. Happy for him. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Very poetic. Not to put too much on Will Johnson, but Will Johnson signs his contract, rookie deal, the same day Tyrann Mathieu retires. Is that going to be anything of relevance? I think we'll find out in hopefully a matter of months, because I do think, and I've said this, like, and this isn't a stretch, like, I think Will Johnson's going to have the kind of training camp that Tyrann had. where it's like the talk of the NFL or the talk of camp where people are like, Cardinals look good. Have you seen number 0 out there? He looks awesome. I remember like the whispers of training camp. I wasn't covering the team then in 2013. It was just like, yeah, the Cardinals look pretty good. Tyrann Mathieu is a star. He's taking over camp. Remember, he had like multiple interceptions like early on. I need that energy from Will Johnson. And again, I think he's going to have every opportunity. Thrust him out there. I mean, do you think he has somehow, like the second round pick for the Cardinals, pick 47, is he the most anticipated player to watch, newcomer? I feel like he might be.
He is. And it's unfortunate for Walter Nolan just because he plays one of those kind of overlooked positions. Outside of the offensive lineman, it's probably defensive lineman. Like everybody in the trenches, like people who watch the game, they're very rarely, like the people who know ball or whatever are paying attention to it. For the most part, people are watching where the ball goes.
Right.
But like if you're watching guys like Walter Nolan, like to the non-casuals out there, to a lot of the people in the chat, they get excited about Walter Nolan, but see a guy that takes the ball away like Will Johnson does. I mean, that gets any fan base charged up. They want to see that. The pick sixes, the flashy plays where they're stepping in front of passes. I mean, it's equal. It's like an offensive play on defense.
Yeah, I mean, like Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell's back, Dalvin Tomlinson, Walter Nolan. I mean, they've added a ton of guys this offseason, and it's a player that we never thought. I mean, we went into this draft this year, and you and I talked about it for 6 months. Damon was on the show every day. We talked about it. How can they exit this draft, not diluting their pick at 16, but adding like 2 players that could impact this team this year, right? And we thought like, okay, Will Johnson could be their first pick at pick 16. How many times did we talk about that? And then it's like, could you trade up from the second round and get Landon Jackson, right? No shot at Landon Jackson. They got Walter Nolan and Will Johnson without trading any draft capital. I mean, it's as good as it gets, and we're going to find out. Trey Hendrickson, what's the latest with him? Is he about ready to sit out this season? And should the Cardinals be on line 1? That and more. Get your super chats in. It's PHNX Cardinals. Trey Hendrickson, he's not having a good weekend, I would presume, for the Cincinnati Bengals. You could have a great weekend, though, with our friends at Phoenix Raceway. It's the championship weekend, baby. Get your tickets now. Championship weekend, October 31st through November 2nd. They always sell out. So we're giving everybody a heads up right now. If you've been in Phoenix long enough, we've seen it all, done it all when it comes to the NASCAR Championship weekend. This is electric, baby. Again, witnessing 4 champions crowned in 3 days. And again, to make things even better, it all goes down at one of the best tracks in the NASCAR circuit. That's Phoenix Raceway, the state-of-the-art venue against the stunning backdrop of the mountains, the perfect place to host NASCAR Championship weekend. It'll be a tremendous weather, by the way. Late October, early November, chef's kiss. Don't miss your chance to witness NASCAR's Championship weekend in person. Again, October 31st through November 2nd. Tickets for Sunday's Cup Series Championship sell out every single year. Get them right now. Don't wait. Here's your kicker. NASCAR's Championship weekend on the road starting in 2026. So it's your last chance to catch anything in Phoenix with NASCAR for a bit. Tickets and hospitality and upgrades are available right now. Go to PhoenixRacewayBo.com.
It's me talking about money again, but it's so important who you do your banking with. You want to feel comfortable, confident with your bank. How about check out what's going on at Mountain America Credit Union? It's committing to helping out more than 1 million members, 100 branches throughout the West. And throughout July, they're going to help you double down. They've got some great 2 times the points rewards credit cards on credit card purchases through July 31st. So you can act now and you'll get about 10 days of doubling down on points from Mountain America Credit Union. You can watch them pile up, perfect for gas, groceries, travel, home projects, all other purchases with Mountain America Credit Rewards going on. Redeem your double points on travel rebates, gift cards, event tickets, limited time only. Take advantage while you can, as I said, going on through July 31st. Details at macu.com/double. That's macu.com/double. Loans approved on credit. Offer can be changed or withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. Again, macu.com/double for double points with Mountain America Credit Union.
300 people watching now. We should have at minimum 300 likes. Appreciate you all. And this is the part of the show where we dog on other teams. And we're going to start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Adjacent. Yes, let's do it. Shamar Stewart, Trey Hendrickson. Hello. Earlier this offseason, if you've been watching our fine program, the Arizona Cardinals checked on the availability of Trey Hendrickson ahead of free agency. And then the Cardinals had to pivot to Josh Sweat. Trey Hendrickson wanted a new deal, wanted to be traded. He still wants a new deal. Does he want to be traded? Well, here's the latest, according to Rap Sheet. How about this? Long-term extensions between talks between Bengals and star Trey Hendrickson broke down over guaranteed money. Imagine that. And Hendrickson has now indicated he has left the state. Posted this on Instagram for our audio-only listeners. Him just driving on the single-lane highway in Florida or double-lane highway in Florida on his Instagram story. So he is well out of Cincinnati territory. I saw this, and I initially, before I read the tweet, I'm like, oh, like they're down this road and they're closing shop. They're getting it taken care of. Right. But then you read the caption, it's like, oh, this is going to go on for a while. This is not getting done. Old Man River yesterday we saw for the Cincinnati Bengals ain't writing any new checks lately.
No, he's not. And it's unfortunate for anybody that is forcibly employed by that franchise. It's a dumpster fire unless your name is Joe Burrow or his talented playmakers. But like this is a story that was really well covered from Diana Rossini, who had, I think, an exclusive with Trey Hendrickson, where he basically said he was in Cincinnati in his home there that he stays at when he's playing with the team, and he was there all off season. And now he's finally, as players are reporting to training camp, getting out of Dodge and going to Florida. It's unbelievable. And then Tom Pelissaro, Rap Sheet's colleague there, our good buddy Mike Garafolo's colleague, Tom Pelissaro, says that Manti Te'o says he spoke with Trey Hendrickson, who said that the Bengals offer was specifically guarantees that they were atrociously low. Used atrociously twice. They're not even in the same ballpark. They said 1 year they gave guaranteed. He wanted 3 years, at least, of some guaranteed money. They wanted to just give 1 year, and they're not even close to where they want to be. So it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. Mike Brown was saying during his availability yesterday, as far as I think it was in regards to Shamar Stewart, could have been as far as Hendrickson. He covered all those really slowly and long drawn out, answers that they're tough to deal with. And it's like, no, you're the Bengals. You're the ultimate tough to deal with franchise.
I pulled up overthecap.com just for some fun and games here. Cardinals right now, cap space, $14 million next year. Now, again, they've got some guys that they're going to, let's just call it what it is, they're going to cut bait with after this year, and they have a chance to free up upwards of $40 to $50 million. And then the cap will unequivocally go up as well. Okay. How do you see this ending? Do you see this ending for Trey Hendrickson and the Cincinnati Bengals in part of a new deal? Or do you think this eventually looks like Hendrickson is dealt before the start of the regular season? Because here's where I'm at. Based on the comments you just read and everything we've heard, like the Bengals are not smart. I think eventually they're going to get Shamar Stewart signed, and they'll look at that like, we're okay now. Yeah. And I think they'll trade Trey Hendrickson. And if you're Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, here's where I'm at with this. The Niners aren't going to make a play for him. They've got Mykel Williams and Nick Bosa. Seattle could use a pass rusher. The LA Rams could use a pass rusher opposite Jared Verse. I almost think for this franchise, you have to keep the phone line open, and you have to be, cautiously intrigued on the potential of bringing him here. And again, that's a lot of money. You pay Josh Sweat a lot of money. And again, we're going to be able to see, maybe they look at this week and Jordan Birch is fantastic and Baron Browning's great and B.J. Ojulari's ahead of schedule. But you and I consistently talk about, like, that's still a missing piece for this team opposite Josh Sweat. They have options. They have guys, right? Bunch of guys that they like, David Collins included. They don't have proven entities at that spot. Why are we so bullish on the secondary? Because they have blue chippers everywhere. Garrett Williams, Max Melton, Will Johnson, right? Done deals. It's why we're not talking about free agent corners. I look at that group opposite of Josh Sweat, and I see a lot of potential, but there are no sure things. A guy who had 34 sacks the last 2 years, that would, to me, if you are trying to put a stranglehold on a division with old, immobile Stafford, Sam Darnold with his ghosts, and Brock Purdy, who is very average, to me, it's like I would still inquire about this. I'm not saying they will. They're probably open and shut with Sweaty J, but if anything, to block him from a division rival too, because we have felt all along Cincinnati's going to deal him. They're going to deal him to the NFC.
That'd be the worst of all realities, really. I mean, if you kind of look at it, if you're not in on Trey Hendrickson and he's not going to play in Cincinnati, which, you see them week 17 this year, but for the most part, with that defense, even with Trey Hendrickson, which they had consistently throughout the last 2 seasons, they had 35 sacks combined. They were bad.
Yeah.
That's why I scoff when I see them, as a fringe top 10 team, according to NFL.com and ESPN. It's like, where did they get better on defense? In fact, they're getting worse. Like they're staring down the potential of getting like substantially worse on defense. So I think that absolutely it's one of those stalemates that they've reached. And can you be the beneficiary of that? Can you find something that's reasonable for you, and then also pay the price that it's going to take? And it's not TJ Watt price. It's not, Myles Garrett price. It's not Max Crosby price, but it would be probably steep for what, you've been paying players since Monti Ossenfort, got to town 3 years ago.
And you could deal from your surplus of defensive linemen, whether D tackles, edge rushers. You'd have to make sure he could pass a physical, that he looks good. But I mean, like, how do you think this is going to end? You see that today, and it's just like, if I'm Trey Hendrickson, you have all the leverage, because the minute they start sucking in camp, they look terrible defensively. They have no Shamar Stewart. Like Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson's people better be talking to each other, because you're really bleeding them dry with this whole thing. But I think Shamar Stewart's, that's easier to get done because of, he's a first round pick.
In place. Yeah. I mean, most of those deals are already done. Like the things they're talking about, more I kind of dug into it. Like the things that Mike Brown is saying is kind of uniform across the league isn't necessarily true.
Right.
Like they took a risk, and he was a polarizing prospect, but we knew that from a production standpoint. The things that they're asking for Shamar Stewart, they're pretty unprecedented as far as first round picks go. And since the CBA should have been just plug and play, it usually is, for them to be screwing this up, it's just a monumental just buffoonery organizationally. I mean, from Mike Brown to his daughter they can't get out of their own way. And Trey Hendrickson now, like I imagine he's out of good faith. Like he's done as far as giving them the benefit of the doubt. He finally got out of Dodge, dipped out of Ohio, and it's like, you know what? I think I'm done here. So as far as now, all that being said, like, where do they go from here? Like, what is the future hold for Trey Hendrickson? I got to imagine it's got to be some sort of trade out of town.
Yeah, I think he gets dealt. He's only 30 years old. Like, all right, so let's say you wake up tomorrow. I'd love for us to break this news, but let's give it to one of the national. Let's give it to Garofalo, who's been tapped in on this. You wake up tomorrow. The Cardinals have traded for Trey Hendrickson. They've given him a contract extension. It's just for 3 years. They gave him a shit ton of guaranteed money. That's great. And they've given up, a day 2 pick in 2026 plus Dante Stills plus something else, right? How are you feeling about what's the perception of the Cardinals? How does it change in your opinion?
I mean, I think nationally people catch up. I mean, you're already confident about the moves that they've made this offseason, but you're overwhelmingly confident that this can be a top 10, potentially top 5 defensive unit.
Yeah.
Just based on as far as on paper, you're adding 17 sacks from the last 2 seasons each to your pass rush, plus Sweaty J, who's consistent, and then what you've done to beef up the defensive line, and then what you've invested as far as draft capital in the defensive secondary, what Budda Baker brings, and the confidence in your play call. So, like, there's but then you're going to have people saying, man, Monti Ossenfort's built something pretty special here. Yeah. I think I'm going to pay closer attention to the Arizona Cardinals. Instead, it's like the Cardinals have to prove during the season to get people to believe into what they're doing. But you get a name like Trey Hendrickson and you win those sweepstakes, it starts to get people's attention.
I think he gives you the impact that, with all due respect, like JJ Watt, you were hoping you got from a national perspective. Like that 1 year with JJ was wasted because the team was so bad. And the year before he got hurt when the team was good. And that was it. I think it's what Watt was supposed to be. And they could never align, the Cardinals and Watt, in terms of how bad the team was, how bad, he was injured. I think it just to me, it would give the Cardinals an avenue to win the NFC West unequivocally.
Yep.
I mean, you trot out that defensive line against, again, Matthew Stafford, who we're going to talk about here in a second, is not healthy. Brock Purdy with minimal weapons. Sam Darnold, who is very susceptible to pressure. And we know how Seahawks offensive line, a little bit of hit or miss. And again, like I said this on Southwest Bias with Espo earlier today. Cardinal fans were very specific, don't blow the wad on, trading for older players. We've done that before. And I get that. I also think about this can impact Kyler Murray's legacy. You don't think he would want that? This can impact Jonathan Gannon's legacy and his security here with Monti Ossenfort and contract extensions and opening up your window to win right now. And it raises the expectation, right? So I think they're going to get enough from the opposite edge rushing group that they'll probably sit this out. And they're we love Josh Sweat. We think he can get 10 sacks. Baron Browning, Zaven Collins, Jordan Birch, B.J. Ojulari, find a way to be competent, find a way to get 20 plus sacks, the four of you together, and we'll save, $100 million in the meantime. But I don't know, it would be pretty sickening to watch a contender, whether it's Washington, the Packers, teams that the Cardinals are competing with now in the NFC, steal away a player of his caliber. Somebody's going to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's concerning because, San Francisco is able to weather the storm. They're good, really, really good one year and can have bad years. They're not consistently bad. They're staring down potentially having back-to-back bad seasons, down seasons. Like John Lynch is going to be a little bit desperate. I mean, he's sitting there today saying, we don't even have a timetable in place for Brandon Ayuk. They're looking at a Juwan Jennings is holding out. They've got a wide receiver room of Ricky Pearsall, who's also hurt. John Lynch is going to be desperate to put talent on any side of the football. And then we know how aggressive Les Snead and Sean McVay always are. Yeah. And like you said, Jared Verse, Trey Hendrickson is nightmare fuel for any opposing offense.
I mean, Trey Hendrickson, if I had to guess, and you said the Cardinals don't get Trey Hendrickson, who gets Trey Hendrickson? The Commanders or the LA Rams would be my guess. Don't you just sit here and it's just the Rams got Trey Hendrickson and they gave up a 2026 third and something else. And it's just that sounds about right. If you're
in Buffalo.
Yeah, but they look at them as competitors in the AFC. I'm looking at, they want to trade. They don't want to even think about Trey Hendrickson. To me, it's if you're Monti Ossenfort, you're sitting in your office, you're looking at your head coach who's aces, your defensive coordinator who's a star, and this team that is right there. Sometimes you have to make a move within the division to block a competitor. You have to box out, right? You have to do what, so many Cardinal GMs have failed to do in years prior. So, and go for the throat. And that would be going for the throat in the NFC West. So, we'll keep tabs on that. I mentioned it earlier. Matthew Stafford for the LA Rams already sitting out part of Rams practice here. Now, it is July 22nd. Let's see it, Damon Dog. Matthew Stafford, according to Sean McVay, is dealing with some back soreness heading into camp. Love to see that. Rams will modify his workouts. He'll start training camp on the side with trainers. That's a 5-day period. And again, Matthew Stafford was excellent in the playoffs last year. Should have very likely beaten the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Matthew Stafford, Bo, also threw 20 touchdowns last year. He hasn't thrown over 25 touchdowns since 2021. So it's clear, he's on the downturn. Yeah, Cardinals, this is why you loaded up on pass rushers this offseason, to get his ass, get after him. Because, again, last year, too comfortable, too many instances. I know the Rams have done a nice job. Jared Verse, we want to throw a parade. He's in the Hall of Fame. Braden Fisk, Devontae Adams. If Stafford's out, you're toast. You're absolutely done.
Yeah. No Jimmy G, right? Jimmy G not to the rescue, even though he's the backup there. I mean, they're one play away from being a 9-win team last year, being 9-8 and getting into the postseason, or they're fighting it out with the Seahawks in the finale. If Trey McBride whips his head around just a little bit quicker. I mean, the Cardinals were in prime position to win that football game. Matthew Stafford, was able to sneak in, but people are wanting to say, hey, like this is a young up and coming team and not as volatile is they actually are. Like, as you said, they're one starting quarterback, like a lot of teams are, like the Cardinals are, like away from not being as competitive as people believe them to be. So it's not great news when your late 30s quarterback has a stiff back to start camp. It's just not.
We're going into overtime, which is great news. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. We always go to OT, especially in training camp overtime here. Get your super chats in, get your likes in. 300 plus watching live. We want to welcome everybody from our many streaming partners. Jump on over to gophnx.com. Trey Hendrickson is in Florida. Matthew Stafford is working on the side, and we're ramping up training camp coverage here on PHNX Cardinals. Let's jump into these super chats. Bo Brack. Bo, according to Doc Soup, $9.99. Thank you so much. Who's ready for an MHJ Will Johnson matchup?
I am. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, we'll see what tempo they're going tomorrow. Like Jonathan Gannon is admitted this, like they have different tempos for different days. It's high tempo, there's low tempo. I expect it to be a little bit low tempo out of the gates tomorrow, but sign me up for any Will Johnson MHJ showdown in training camp. Love to see it.
Yeah, they're close. Like Marv posted, I guess, on social media before we started the show, just getting year 2 loading, and Will's in the comments. You love to see that. I mean, there's a brotherhood there. There's a Big Ten brotherhood. Cardinals it's so great. They just drafted just a different caliber of player now, which is awesome. With all due respect to the 1AA schools of years prior with the XGM, it's great to know these players.
Right.
It's great to hear from our guy, Shaft. Thanks for all the love, guys. Had a fraudulent charge on my card, so I had to get a new one. Oh, no. One thing after another. So damn happy to see Sub-Zero is signed and ready for war. See you Thursday at practice, Bo.
Can't wait to see you, Shaft. Man, I'm sorry you're going through it here. Kind of being put through the ringer. Health-wise, people are trying to use your card. Hate to hear that from our guy, Shaft, but always love to see you in the chat on a daily basis.
Shaft, I miss you, buddy.
Yeah.
I miss you. I mean, I'm sitting here, and the worst part about coming back to hang out with you guys on PHNX Cardinals these last 2 days has been Shaft's not in the chat.
Yeah.
100%.
We'll get him back.
Things he's having to endure. So we're pulling for you, Shaft, man, and see you out there at State Farm Stadium.
Damon, I just deselected one of the other super chats like a dummy. My bad.
Johnny.
Damon will retrieve that as I click buttons. $32 in honor of Tyrann Mathieu. Thank you so much, Jason. We appreciate that. Watching you ball out was so damn fun. You should have retired a Cardinal. Thanks, Kime. We salute you. Godspeed, young man. Thank you so much, Jason, for your generosity and support of the show on that level, and obviously support of number 32. And yes, Steve Kime, Anquan Bolden, the Cardinals had a falling out. Patrick Peterson falling out. Tyrann Mathieu falling out. I mean, there were too many instances like that. That's why Monti Ossenfort did not sign and or draft Budda Baker, James Conner. Monti Ossenfort knows don't screw around with franchise icons that are still performing.
Yeah, it's that's the one question I have. Like we talk about it, we talk potential reconciliation. What kind of claim does Tyrann Mathieu have for a Ring of Honor spot?
I don't know.
5 seasons, right?
5, yeah, and he was hurt for part of them. I would probably say, and this isn't.
Well, the two times he was hurt, he missed like the last 2 games of the season. His rookie year in that 2015 season.
I would say for me, it's like I wouldn't have an issue with it. There are guys I would rather see get in sooner. Like I think Carlos Dansby should be in the Ring of Honor. I think is Dockett in yet?
No.
Patrick Peterson needs to be in the Ring of Honor. I mean, there are guys that
Jackie Smith, there's the part of the different, the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, unfortunately with Tyrann, like I don't think of him synonymous with the Cardinals because he's been in the league so long. He went to Houston, then he was on national TV all the time with Kansas City. Like I think Carlos Dansby, I think Arizona Cardinals. I think Darnell Dockett, Cardinal, right? Adrian Wilson, Patrick Peterson, Cardinal. And the Cardinals screwed this up, so you can't blame the player. Tyrann Mathieu, like Budda Baker, is going to be a lifetime Cardinal, synonymous. If he plays 1 year outside of the franchise, whatever. Like that should have been Tyrann, and it was unfortunate that it wasn't.
How about our guy Bees? Always great to see from the Bees. $2. Isn't it nice not having distractions under Monti? Yeah, the incident board, it's a lot of days deep. You haven't had to like wipe it clean, days without incident under Monti, Ossenfort, and crew.
So Bo and I, the first year we did the show together, was 2022. And it almost felt like football was secondary that year. It was like every other show, there was an off-the-field issue. There was conspiracy theories, Keim in Mexico, Hard Knocks, Benjamin, firings, Keim's away from the facility, Hollywood Browns arrested. Like every day it was like that. Kyler Murray's feuding with Cliff Kingsbury, won't talk to him. I mean, I know it doesn't make for great headlines. The Cardinals are so quiet now. They're so much more buttoned up. That's why, again, the people that are naive and moronic, and we know who I'm talking about here, that could suggest that Gannon could lose his job this year. Again, it's like, I think the Cardinals are going to be very good, but think about where the Cardinals were before Gannon and Ossenfort, especially Gannon, because Gannon sets the tone with the 53. You want to go back to just like high school mentality, guys just doing whatever they want to do. That's fun. I really enjoy pulling up ESPN every morning and seeing Cardinals being laughed at nationally. Like sometimes it's bigger than just wins and losses. Wins and losses are 99% of it, but they were so poverty before.
Yeah. Taco Corp 84 $4.99. See, any chance Stewart and Trey aren't done because Brown never learned online banking?
People are talking about it, Taco Corp.
I think he's got all of his money buried in his backyard.
Is his daughter the one that ripped Trey Hendrickson too? Like, man, that's brutal. Like, it's like you think you're going to get out from under him, and then it's just like his family's just like, nope, we're actually younger and worse. So they did pay Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, but Jamar Chase literally had to be the best player at his position to get paid. I mean, again, Michael Bidwell has his faults as an owner. He's working on them. He's the NFLPA grades. They've owned up to those. They have always paid guys in their prime. Like they have never been allowed to leave, right? Calais Campbell hit the free agent market after 30 years old, right? That was a mistake. Anquan Bolden was traded away. That was a mistake. But for the most part, it's like everybody got re-signed. That was never an issue. So there are things that they need to work on as a franchise. But most of the time, these guys get done.
I mean, you had like Fitz way back when. Didn't Fitz have a contract holdout, like his first deal, right?
Yeah.
But that was before like the CBA worked it out, and really before Michael Bidwell kind of took over, full reins of the franchise. Like there hasn't been any true, like especially with rookies, first year players, any issues as far as paying those guys. It's not even in the same stratosphere as what Cincinnati somehow finds new ways to be dysfunctional. I mean, look, they're not perfect by any means. They're not the model franchise by any means. They still have their skeletons, but it's not the same. It's not on the same page as what the Browns in Cincinnati or Haslam's in Cleveland are like.
Cardinals need a new facility. They're working on it. That's like, but number 1, 2, and 3 on the agenda.
Yeah. Seeing that, like going back to that 2022 years, it was so disastrous. It was such a debacle that it was eye-opening to the point where you've seen since Michael Bidwell hired a new head coach and a new general manager that he's been hands off, and he's empowering those guys to do their job and run the franchise, especially the football operations, and not kind of meddle too much. And it's been a positive.
He told us this, so we can share this, but we've had other people tell us this. Michael Bidwell and Jonathan Gannon have a wonderful relationship. Yeah. And Jonathan Gannon really loves working for this franchise. That's enough for me. It's like if the GM and the head coach are happy, you want the players to be happy and you want them to spend money, but that's 75, 80% of the legwork. And they're learning on the fly. And again, they're figuring it out. Every offseason they're improving. So just keep getting better, right? Yeah. Not going to go from 2022 to hosting Lombardi 18 months later. But I do think that like we want a period of time where this franchise is relevant. What are you laughing at?
No, I mean it's just some people like it. Some people like living in like the dysfunction or whatever. It makes you feel a certain way. It makes you feel alive.
I don't want
no, that, like Monti and Jonathan Gannon understand it's they keep the important thing the important thing, right? They focus on that, and it's winning football games. That they're not going to do anything like if it doesn't impact them winning football games, they're not going to give it the time of day.
They are so serious about this. We like Monti Ossenfort, and I love this trait about him. It's tough when we do a show. You just can't take anything he says face value. His press conference are like Chat GPT press conferences. They're like the most generic GM speak. Whereas Steve Keim is talking to everybody, leaking everything on national TV, and it's just like, no, your draft stunk. Right. And it's
like what you're seeing down the street with the Suns. It's just like, what do you benefit from having all that stuff leaked or that information being in a public forum? Doesn't.
You don't think these players respect their head coach? I mean, it's just they're in such a much better spot. Regardless of how this year ends. Bees 467. Jobo. I'll pose this to Bo. Has the price tag fallen on Trey? And I'll add, if so, Bo Brack, what would you offer for Trey Hendrickson?
Oh, I think it absolutely has fallen. Yeah, they probably could have maybe done a second-round pick. They have no leverage. This is playing out so disastrously in the public eye that there's no way that any team outside of there being a little bit of a bidding war for the Bengals themselves to drive up the price or leverage anything. Like Trey Hendrickson left the state. He's in Florida. He's having exclusive interviews with NFL reporters about how much of a debacle this is. So yeah, I think Trey Hendrickson's price is gone down, but it's also going to be, you're going to have a lot of potential suitors too.
Yeah. I initially thought they were going to get a second throughout this whole negotiation. I think because remember they were asking for a first and people were like, please shut up. This is a great edge clash. Like we're not giving you a first for him and then having to pay him a bunch of money, like a third and a player. That sound pretty good to you? And again, people are like, I'm including Dante Stills in a lot of trades just because I have no idea. Like the Cardinals have so many defensive linemen. I'm thinking about what Cincinnati would want, and they would want a cost controllable player that's on the up. And you would have to give them that, in my opinion. $9.99, Math to the power of Joe. Thank you so much for becoming a fixture in our chat, Math to the power of Joe. We love to see it. K1 regressed last year after the bye. It was also after he took a blindside hit in the Jets game. Makes me wonder if they were coached something that changed the way he played after a big hit. Well, I do think, Joe, like the offense is structured partially so Kyler Murray can be healthy for 17 games. Like I don't think that's like breaking news. He played 17 games last year, looked good in the finale. You need him healthy for the length of the season. They have to just find that middle point, Bo, of like, yes, we need our quarterback available, but we also need to be able to take some shots. I mean, they were so run heavy and run dependent, and they mastered it. They peaked too soon against the Jets and the Bears. When they needed to go to that next level with their passing game post-bye, it just wasn't there. It just looked so broken. That needed to be remedied this offseason.
Yeah. Yeah, you almost don't want to give him an out, like to pinpoint, like, hey, things changed after he got blindsided, absolutely destroyed on that play. The Jets, and that was Kyler Murray's best game of the season. Only incompletions were 2. I think he was like 22 of 24. Had an unbelievable game, just throwing the ball around the yard all day.
Yeah.
But I don't think that played too much into it. They just never really found their stride consistently on the offensive side of football. Like it was, even when they had that 4-game winning streak, like they won some games by the skin of their teeth, especially, walk-off kicks from Chad Ryland, and they found ways, but there was no way, like you're saying, oh, they won because like they won the game against Miami because they were throwing the football. They won the game against Chicago because Chicago sucked and they were able to just pile drive the football down the field with James Conner any way they wanted. And it was just like, they're winning because passing attack is on fire and you can't slow them down.
Like, do you think, to add on to this, that you'll be able to see a difference at training camp? Like, will you get that sense like, hey, this looks different than last year?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's tough in shorts, but I mean, you hope that just the revamped defense, provides more a challenge for the offense.
It's like Calais Campbell can stop the run. Now what? It's like, what are you going to do? Shaft is back. Hey, Damon Dog. I'm glad to hear you. We miss you.
We do.
My sweet Shaft.
Shaft speaks for all of us. We do miss the dog around here. On the big things, talking football on his own each and every day, just growing up right before our eyes on AZ Wildcats at 2:00 every or is that right? Yes. I thought I botched it. You moved times recently, so
yeah, we switched it up on you. We try to keep you on your toes, but appreciate you, Bow. 2 p.m.
He's a Brett Brennan truther. We're gonna find out.
No, he's not.
We're gonna see if Brett Brennan can get it done.
Put him on the spot right now.
Brett Brennan? Well, no. At St. Elmo's, we went into about 45-minute conversation about the over/under, and Damon was as animated as I've ever seen him. And you know what? That's what you have to be. You got to be animated. What's your over/under win total for U of A revised right now, Damon?
5.5. Which is what it was in Indianapolis, if you remember correctly. And that is now the Vegas line as well. It has since moved up a point from 4.5 to 5.5 as of recently.
I will say this is not just Damon, and it's not just his fantastic co-host Kevin. Damon was telling me that Brent Brennan had some really out there believers in his second year, and it goes as deep as maybe even the rival, as far as guys who cover ASU were buying into what Brennan's selling.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. They're beating Hawaii week 1.
We need a hot start, Johnny. We need a hot start.
And they're beating Weber State. Okay, we're starting there.
Come on, Damian Lillard. They're gonna beat them on the gridiron. Weber State. They don't got any guys.
Weber State, not Weber State. I'm gonna tell you an upset. Damon's gonna love this. Late in the season, they're gonna go to Colorado and beat Colorado. I'll make a prediction right now. I think Colorado.
Inject that.
They are toast. Colorado is about a 4-win team. We're going to Denver for joint practices. I'll tell everybody in that bar that to their face. The Colorado's toast this year.
They play BYU this year.
Do play BYU at home, yeah.
That's a good poll now, right? They don't have their quarterback.
Yeah, now that Retzlaff's gone. This is what I was saying. I mean, you play Hawaii Weber State, as Johnny outlined. You got to start 2-0, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Then you play Kansas State and Iowa State.
I love that we're doing this.
That's 2 tough games. But after that, it's Oklahoma State, BYU, both at home, and then on the road at Houston. Those 3 games are the season. Those 3 games are the whole season. You got to perform in those 3 games.
I can't wait. I'm so invested. I don't know. I know like 5 players, but I'm so invested in Damon and that podcast on those post-game shows. It's going to be absolutely electric.
We have a new segment we're going to debut on the post-game shows called Damon's Doghouse, where I rip into one person throughout the game. Could be a player, coach, ref, you name it, man.
Damon, are you ready? So for those of you who don't know, we are bringing back Hold or Fold the Line this year on Wednesdays. Are you ready to give a commitment, Damon, to coming back to do Hold or Fold the Line? Because I love Sweet Baby Noah. He is not a degenerate gambler like the 3 of us. You have an open invitation to return to that segment. Are you able and willing?
Yeah, I definitely am able, and I'm absolutely willing because I want to go to war with my boys like we did last season.
Damon ran away everything with it, right?
Yeah, but I did have it almost doesn't even feel like a win because I lost, I think, like my last 7 weeks of the season or something like that. So we ended in the negative. We all did.
Are we rebranding it?
Past me at one.
Yeah. I think you finished last, Bo. You were last.
I don't want to do this anymore.
It got gross in the best possible way. Jalen Blair, $2. Bo, did the Cards add anyone to the PUP list or the NFI list?
I think the only one really in danger of that is BJ Ojulari. He's a guy that wasn't participating throughout OTAs and mandatory. And we're still less than a year removed from when he tore his ACL. I think BJ Ojulari is somebody that's kind of in the danger zone for that. But Jonah Williams seems like he should be ready to start just from what we saw during OTAs. Paris Johnson, who ended the year on IR, seems like he's ready to go. So you really have to think like who could potentially not be available. I think BJ Ojulari is the only guy that's kind of in danger there and not starting the team with the team on the field.
Yeah. He's gonna need to get out there and compete because there's suddenly you think about how much has changed for him in a year where he was the guy and then he goes down and now it's like, yeah, Zaven's still around, but there's Josh Sweat and Jordan Birch and Baron Browning got a 2-year deal. Xavier Thomas is the unsung man of that group right now. And then the guys that were the ultimate placeholders that were just ready to be beat out, they're all gone. Gardeck, Luketa, Dumakaji, that's over. So he's got juice. We need to see it. I was looking back at some old tweets. Like, he didn't really get going his rookie year until about October, November. He had a sack in a November game. And I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go. And then it just, all the momentum is just stopped dead in its tracks. So you root for him. Great show today. 270 plus. Drop a like. Our first full day of camp begins mañana. Bo is going to be out there. He's going to have full presser clips. Check us out, PHNX Cardinals on Twitter. Hopefully some camp highlights, conditioning tests. Let's get it, Bo Brack.
No, I don't know if we're going to have. I think they'll have the conditioning test already squared away. Like,
you think they're going to be doing
probably
that?
Get some routes versus air, some RVAs. Maybe get some Marvin there. Already seeing Kyler and Marv on the team account showing up to where they're staying out there in the west side, the Wigwam. So the team is arrived, and then tomorrow, we'll have some light practice highlights. That guy Shane's going to join us, and so we're going to still have full coverage starting tomorrow. Day 1 practice at Arizona Cardinals training camp. PHNX Cardinals is going camping.
Love it so much. Everybody, do us a favor. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Again, get us to 50K before the start of the regular season. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Bo, fired up. We've made it. It's camping time. For Bo, Damon, I'm Johnny Venerable. We will see you on the show mañana. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.